So guesstimates are nothing but middle school word problems without numbers. So if you recall, we used to solve these things called word problems back in the day, back in school. And we used to solve word problems. I think we started solving word problems from second or third standard, and I think they went on till 10th or even 11th standard for that matter, as far as I'm able to recall. So basically, there used to be like a mathematical concept that was being tested out, and they used to ask us questions regarding a real life situation where we were supposed to apply that concept to, get the answer, by of course leveraging that concept and putting stuff into an equation and get the final numbers, right? The only difference between your typical middle school word problems and guesstimates is that there are no numbers that are provided to you in a guesstimate, right? You're supposed to input these numbers yourself, according to your understanding of the world. And as soon as you start looking at guesstimate questions this way, you would start feeling a lot more confidence about guesstimate questions in general, right? So let me give you guys an example. If we were to solve or look at a geometry question where we were supposed to measure the perimeter of, say, a park, right? How would we go about doing it? Especially if we know the length and the breadth of the park, and let's assume that it's a rectangle, right? We would just, do a 2 into L plus P. The difference over here is that a guesstimate question would sound more like calculate the dimensions of the nearby, or calculate the area of your of your colonies or your townships central park, right? Now some of you would be like, okay, I feel that I don't live in a township, but okay, if I were to live in a township, I think the park is going to have dimensions somewhere in, sounding like 100 meter into a 200 meter, right? Or maybe a 400 meter into a 300 meter, or so on and so forth, right? Or it could also be circular, it could also be a square, it could be some other shape altogether. But the point is that the dimensions are going to be in a certain range, right? Because it's impossible for like a park to have, say, a dimension of 2 kilometers into 2 kilometers in the middle of your colony. That's not feasible, that's not likely to be the case, right? So what you are basically trying to do is that you're trying to imagine yourself there in a very real world, and you're trying to figure out that, okay, in case I was living in a township with a central park, what are the likely dimensions for this particular park, right? They're not going to be too small. I mean, I don't think that the central park of a colony would have a dimension of like 10 meters into 10 meters, but at the same time it cannot be like a kilometer into a kilometer as well. So it's going to be somewhere in the middle. Now when you introduce these numbers and you keep this logic in your mind, you're able to input some numbers and get an answer, right? Which could be a perimeter or an area, depending upon what the question is asking you to, calculate. So that is a real guesstimate question. The only difference is that back in the school, they used to give us the exact dimensions. Here, we are trying to input the dimensions depending upon the context of the question and, you know, the real world per se, right? And that's exactly how most of the guesstimate questions are going to look like. Whether it's a question regarding the population of a specific country, or regarding a demand of a specific object, or say a market capitalization of a particular device, at the end of the day, it is like a middle school word problem, because the concepts of, geometry, mensuration, profit loss ratios, unitary methods, basic multiplication, division, addition, uh, are actually being tested out. Or maybe, percentages, compound interest, simple interest, right? So these are all middle school mathematical concepts. You don't have to be a genius at math to be able to do well at guesstimate questions. And at the same time, you of course should not be someone who just sucked at middle school math, right? So in case you're coming from a background where math wasn't really a strong suit of yours, and you were not good at middle school math, then I would definitely recommend you to download an NCRT, a seventh or an eighth class textbook, mathematics textbook, and just go through the concepts, right? Because I can't actually cover middle school math over here. But these are the concepts that you can expect in a guesstimate question.